Hey everybody, it's Peggy Brown from Virtual Properties. I'm here today to talk to you about what are some legal issues you need to think about when you are purchasing a lot to build on. So first and foremost, obviously you want to make sure that it is a buildable lot. And what's all involved in making sure that it's a buildable lot? Well, one of the first things that you need to make sure is done, or you need to get it done right away, is to have a perk test. Now, a perk test will test the soils and determine whether the soils can handle a septic system. Now, if you're moving into the city, obviously you're not going to have to worry about this if you've got city sewage, but if you are purchasing a home or a lot in a rural area, you definitely have to make sure that the land is going to perk. Now, here's something else you need to think about when you are having a perk test done. Typically, when the organization or whoever's doing your perk test comes out, they're going to want to know, where are you putting your home? They are not going to probably perk your entire lot. And that also can depend on the size of your property. So, for example, I bought almost an 8-acre tract. I did not have that entire 8 acres perked. I just told the environmentalist that came out to do the perk test where I wanted the home, and then he pinpointed some areas around where we were planning to build our home as to where would be the best place to do the perk test and potentially have a septic system. So that's something you want to keep in mind. So maybe you're buying a piece of property, someone's already had a perk test done. You need to look at that map carefully to make sure that's where you want to have your house built. More than likely, they've done the perk test where it would be the best location, but it's something you can definitely question. Also, sometimes the soils aren't nice to us, meaning that sometimes the septic system they have to put in is very costly. So say that you've got some low-lying land. A lot of times if that's the case, you might have to have a different type of septic system, and it can run into thousands and thousands of extra dollars. So those perk tests are vitally important to make sure that they're done prior to the purchase of a piece of property. The second thing you want to make sure that you inquire about or check out is, are the boundaries marked? You know, if there's a survey that's been done, that is fabulous. That is always the best solution, is if there is a current survey. But if not, can you find the markers at all 4 corners or however many corners of the lot there is? That's something you also want to check out. Another thing, can the seller provide you with a clear title? This is going to actually happen when it goes to the attorney and you do a title search and you pay for title insurance. That's why we have title insurance. It's to protect you as the buyer, to make sure that there are no title issues whatsoever. So we never want to purchase a piece of property that does not have a clear title. Also, is the land zoned for what you want to build? You got to make sure about the zoning. Is it agricultural? Is it residential? Is it commercial? The list goes on and on and on. Sometimes you can build a home on agricultural and residential. Again, you're going to have to check with the county to make sure that the zoning is correct for what you want to do on that piece of land. Is there sufficient road frontage? That's another one. Counties require a certain amount of road frontage. So if it's short, you may not be able to get a building permit for that particular lot. So make sure you do your due diligence prior to purchasing a piece of property if you plan on building a home on it. Also, are there any additional liens? Maybe there's some easements that go through the properties. Are there any restricted covenants? Any kind of deed restrictions that might be 50 to 100 years old that are going to limit what you can do with that piece of property? Again, these are all the kind of things that you really got to think about. You really got to research prior to purchasing a piece of land that you want to build on. There's nothing worse than buying a piece of land and then finding out all these surprises after the fact if you don't do your due diligence ahead of time. Another thing is, what about floodplain? Wow, floodplains can be a nightmare. Y'all, you do not realize, well, maybe you do if you've experienced water issues, but water can just wreak havoc on your life. The home that I currently live in, we've been here 30 years. Years and years ago, we never had a lot of problems with the lay of the land. Well, at some point in time, the farmer behind us altered the pasture ever so slightly, and it altered the way the water ran off of his pasture onto our property. It made a extreme challenge for us to get that fixed. So again, you've got to be very, very careful, because if there is low-lying land, one, you might have to have flood insurance, which can become extremely expensive. It's almost impossible to get a building permit if there is a floodplain or you want to build very close to a floodplain. And water, seriously, water is just something that you really need to think seriously about. Make sure that you, if you have the opportunity, which I hope you do, when you're looking at land, go out there on a rainy day. Though we often don't want to wander around and walk a piece of property when it's pouring down rain, I tell you, it is one of the best times to go out there, because you want to see if there's any low-lying areas, if it's pooling really bad. Now, obviously, an excavator can come in and they can a lot of times correct many of these issues, but sometimes there's some serious issues that you don't know about until we have some really heavy rains that come to the surface and show us what the problems are. So make sure you find out if there's any floodplains. Also, is the property located in any historical or cultural sites? Those are also things that might end up inhibiting you from building a home if you're not aware that they're currently on the property. Here is something else that a lot of people don't think about. When we buy a piece of land, we think we have all the rights. Well, sometimes you don't. While you might own the surface of the land, that doesn't necessarily mean you own what's under the land, meaning the water rights and the mineral rights. There are some pieces of property that are extremely rich in minerals, and while the owner might sell you the property, they're not going to sell you the mineral rights so that you would be able to reap the benefits of the minerals that are located in the soil of that piece of property. So those are some things that you want to think about before you purchase a property. There's a lot of others, but these are the legal issues that I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, I covered a lot of them today, so if you didn't have the opportunity to write them down, please feel free to instant message me or text me, and I'll gladly send you off a list of these items that I just discussed with you. But buying a piece of property to build on is a major, major decision, and you certainly don't want to make any mistakes. So this is Peggy Brown from Virtual Properties, hoping to help you find your next buildable lot. Give me a call at 770-634-6489 if you need assistance. We'll see y'all next time.